the Tailjack in the crush, we can take it from its hung up position like so, and we fold out first the left hip ring, then the right hip ring, and now we're going to place these hip rings over the cow. So that's over the cow's hips now, and now we want to secure it onto the cow's hips by tensioning the chain. So we pull this chain nice and firm, double check it's secure, that's good, so now we can work on. We slide the tail scoop back and we move it to the extended position, which is there. That makes it easy to place the tail in the scoop once it's there. Slide the tail scoop back up, hear that click, and then we can lift the scoop up, fall forward like that, and locks in place. Now that should be enough with some cows. If the cow is still kicking, you can ratchet it forward one place or more if needed to stop the cow from kicking. Now, how do we take the Tailjack off after we've milked out the cow or treated the mastitis or whatever it is we're doing? We apply pressure here from at the left hand side, and we have the chain in the right hand side. So push with the left, pull with the right, slide it back down like that. We then unlock this chain here. That releases the tension up here, allows us to take off the Tailjack like so. And then we can fold it up and hang it up for later use another time. So I'm just going to illustrate now how to use the Tailjack and the associated tool which allows you to apply the Tailjack on the milking parlour floor. So we take the Tailjack off, fold it out. This is the contact point for the arm. Slide that in here. That allows us then to reach up from the milking parlour floor and place the hip rings over the cow's hips. What's happened there now is that was locked, so I unlocked that there. That goes around the cow's hips. I can then reach up, lock the chain in like that. Now, the next thing we want to do is to get the tail into the tail scoop. So we can press this button here to slide it down. That means it's easier for us to slide the tail into the tail scoop. Now using this hook here, we can first of all slide that back up and then push forward like that. Now, the next point now, we may want to ratchet it forward. You can push forward with this, or you can use this function here, which allows you to lever it forward. When we're done milking with the cow in the milking parlour, same process in reverse. Left hand on the tool to push forward, right hand to pull the chain. Then we want to return this point here into this contact point, and then we can unlock the hip rings. Now we can simply just lever the Tailjack off. It will pop off like that, and then we can slide off like so. We can then fold up the Tailjack and hang it up for later use with a different cow. So you've ordered your Tailjack and it arrives in a box like this. What are you going to get? You're going to get, when you open it up first thing you're going to see is a set of instructions on how to assemble the Tailjack. That also has detailed visual instructions on how to use the Tailjack both in a crush or in a parlour with cows. And there's also some written guidance here at the back on how to adjust the Tailjack. Next thing we're going to find in here is the main part of the Tailjack. This goes over the cow's hips, and we also have a hip ring here, which we can do the first part of assembly here now, which is we slide this in here. That locks in like that, and then the second part is on the other side. We can lock that in there. So I'm just going to put the box out of the way for a second. There's one more surprise in there. So this is the Tailjack as it arrives. So you see there the assembly was quite simple. 2 buttons inside there. Now, when we're going to put it on the cow in the crush, what we do first of all is we extend the hip rings out we get these around the cow's hips, and once they're firmly around it, we then pull this chain here at the back, put tension on the hip rings, and then we can lock it in like that. Next thing we want to do is we want to get the tail scoop and extend that down like that. That makes it easy then to place the cow's tail in here, and then once the tail is in place, we can slide that back up, and then we can lift the tail jack up. The paw will fall forward, locking that tail in the upright position, and then we can milk the cow. So now we've treated the mastitis or milked the cow. How do we take off the tail jack? Well, we first of all release the pressure here by pushing a little bit forward, and then we pull this chain here, and then it falls away back like that. We then want to release the tension on the hip rings, and so we pull this chain here up and out, and that releases that there, and then that will allow it to come off, and we can release and take away the tail. That's fine in a crush, but how do we go about using the tail jack in the milking parlour? Well, that's where the extendable arm comes in, and that's the last two parts in the box over here. And here we go. This is the tool for placing the tail jack on in milking parlour. We have a button here which slides in like that. And what we do here is we use that tool connected onto here. So that allows us to place the tail jack up from the milking parlour floor onto the cow. And when it's securely onto the cow and the hips are locked, when we do that for example, we can then also use a hook scoop here to move the tail scoop up and lock in like that. If we need to lever up the tail scoop a bit further, we can use this functionality here, which is placing that there and then levering it forward like that until we get the ratcheting. Then to remove the tail jack, with the left hand here, we can put this in there to relieve the tension, pull the chain again, slide that back. We again lock in here with the tool, and then we release the tension on the hips, allowing us to remove the tail jack from the cow, and we can take it away and fold it away for use later on. Okay. The tail jack is adjustable for different cow sizes, from your smallest fresh heifer to your largest Holstein Friesian cow. How do you adjust the tail jack to fit your cow? Well, we have this carbine hook here, which allows you to provide more slack or less slack as required to make sure that these go around and lock securely onto your cow's hips. The other point we have for adjusting for hip size is we have these buttons here at the back. So you can slide in here, and maybe at that size you'd have it for your fresh heifer, and if you need to slide out here for your bigger cow. That deals with the hip width. The other thing we can adjust is the pivot point where the arm lifts. We find that this point here should be just behind the base of the tail, and that will vary from cow to cow. You can adjust that here by pressing another button here. That will slide up or down as required depending on the size of the cow, and that will allow you to get the best lifting effect and therefore the best inhibiting of kicking. Those are the ways that you can adjust the tail jack to fit your cow. If you have a relatively similar sized cows in your herd, they're not too varied, you'll rarely need to adjust your tail jack.